It's time to do the recap of the Gomi versus Kenny card. A card that I think will fuel a debate that should have died long ago, but I'll talk about that later. Charlie Brenneman beat Jason High. That was one of my three losses from my prediction video. I'm pretty sure, anyways, because I'm pretty sure I picked T-Bow on the prediction video, and I didn't on MMA Playground, so I went up 7-4 MMA Playground, 8-3 via the prediction video. Anyways, that was UD. Gerald Harris took out Mario Miranda. Good. Yushin Okami took out Licio Laharis. Gleason T-Bow, we actually got to see this fight, beat Cal Uno. Good display of striking from T-Bow. Joe Rogan hit the nail on the head. It was a good time to try to display some decent striking because, it kind of lets people know that you got some striking, which we previously didn't think he really had. And it's against a guy like Uno who, might be able to outstrike you, but he doesn't really have the kind of dynamic knockout explosive power that makes it terribly threatening. It's kind of like you could box with him, get out boxed, and then say, okay, this isn't working. I'm going to take you down now. And T-Bow, pretty impressive, reasonably impressive. Let's see him move on to uh, bigger guys. Would I think just basically be his weakness. I mean, we kind of saw it with the Tyson Griffin fight. But T-Bow, this is a couple of wins in a row, if I'm not mistaken, where he's starting to finally kind of build himself into a bit of a contender. Yeah, he really should have 5 wins in a row, but he's only got 2 because of the bullshit Melvin Gillard fight. He's beaten Cal Uno, Josh Neer, and before the Gillard fight, he had beaten Jeremy Stevens and Rich Clementi after 2 setbacks in the UFC. So, it's a solid win for him. I don't really care who he fights, other than I would like to see someone with a wrestling pedigree, because I would like to see a fight where he just can't take people down. I mean, we saw problems with Tyson Griffin and Joe Stevenson, but he's, I think, progressed a bit as a fighter since then. Let's see how he handles that now. Rob Emerson lost to Nick Lentz. That was another loss of mine. Nick Lentz showing, presumably, since I haven't seen the fight, better wrestling than I give him credit for. Quite possible. Then we had Jacob Volkman, Ronnie Torres. Jacob Volkman winning a split decision. Ronnie Torres' UFC stay has been just terrible. Andre Werner with the UD over Rafael Oliveira. Good call. And then on to the main card. Ross Pearson, Dennis Seaver. This was a pretty good fight. Ross, I think, showed a higher level of striking than I thought he had. Not to like amazing degree, didn't blow me away, but I thought Seaver might have the advantage on the feet. I thought he did in the first round. Pearson got the takedown in that first round, kind of stole the round, so to speak. Second round, I think he started out striking Seaver. Seaver got a takedown, but didn't really do much with it. Pearson got back up. Pearson just basically outstruck him. Second round, he won all 3 rounds in my opinion, although, a 29-28 wouldn't have been unprecedented. Third round, more Pearson kind of just outstriking him, trading takedowns occasionally. This was a really good fight. It was my pick for fight of the night, based on what we saw. Very solid effort by Dennis Seaver. Showed a bit of a chin, which is good because that was somewhat the knock on him. Pearson kind of just showing that he's one of those Ultimate Fighter winners who actually has the ability to fight against the mid level of the division. Something that, for example, Amir Sadala has somewhat struggled with due to mainly injuries and getting his face taken off by Johnny Hendricks. But it's a solid outing, and hopefully we'll see more of Ross Pearson, and he will continue to improve and continue to get better. And I would like to see him get tested at this point. I would like to see a guy that I'm looking at the fight, and I see Ross Pearson will probably lose that fight. Anyone who, has that kind of position, like just that little much up the ladder, I want to see him fight him. I want to see how he handles that. I want to see how he handles some adversity, basically, because Andre Winter kind of just didn't seem all that into his fight with him. He beat Aaron Riley, which was a good fight, but Riley's is a guy that's not going to get you in trouble with his hands, though. He's just doesn't really have it anymore. And Seaver was kind of that guy, but I think the fact that Pearson was able to pretty much strike with him defused a lot of the pressure to fight with Seaver. Let's see him probably fight kind of a wrestler who could put it on him and put the pressure on him, and I would like to see that. George Rivera TKO Nate Quarry. I overestimated Nate Quarry's chin or underestimated Rivera's power. I also definitely overestimated Quarry's stand up because he didn't even come close to tapping the chin of George Rivera, which, is still, I think, pretty questionable. But just a good fight from Rivera. Put him in there with another banger. I love watching George Rivera fight bangers. I mean, they're great. They tend to be great fights. Not that this was a great fight; it was a little too one-sided. But this was a solid fight. Um, Props to George Rivera, and he'll be sticking around. Nate Quarry, he'll be sticking around. They're not guys who are ever going to really contend for a title. I mean, they're both 38 years old at this point. Um, but they're guys that you're going to have some skills to beat. That's kind of about it. Roy Nelson knocked the crap out of Stefan Struve, and oh god, it was awesome. Um, I don't know. I didn't even like Nelson before the Ultimate Fighter. I still don't like his attitude, but I like it when he proves people utterly wrong. That's what I love about him. Stefan Struve, once again, get some stand up, man. You are 6'11". If you could get, just like just a little bit better you don't even have to have really good stand up. If you could have average stand up, you would be a pretty good fighter because your ground game's pretty solid and you're very long. But his stand up it's got holes. Buendello kind of showed it. Dennis Stoyniak kind of showed it when he was able to tee off on him. Chase Gormley showed it a little bit. The difference is they didn't finish him, and Nelson did. It's really in a nutshell. Nelson has a lot more knockout power in the UFC, it seems now, which is good. So maybe difference in training regimen because he never really seemed to have KO power in the IFL or previous organizations before he came to the UFC. So props to him. I don't think he's in the title mix. I think the title mix is a very select group. I don't really know who you would put him up against because admittedly Struve was on a bit of a roll, and this kind of does build him. He beat Frank Mir in a grappling match. I would love to see those two in an MMA match. I think Mir would win, but I think that would be a fight to watch, and I would like to see that fight happen, especially with Mir kind of falling from grace now, being that he's lost to Carwin, he's lost to Lesnar, he's not really in the title picture anymore. Kenny Florian Gomi was the main event. Gomi did not look all that good. He had no answer for Kenny's boxing, particularly the jab, which is disappointing because I think this will do a little bit to fuel the old Pride fighters aren't as good as UFC fighters thing again. And if that doesn't come up, I'm going to be quite happy. But I'm just going to kind of preempt it by saying, the top Pride guys aren't really the top anymore. But if you look at the UFC counterparts from that time, they're not the top either. Chuck Liddell, Tito Ortiz, Randy Couture, Rich Franklin even. Matt Hughes has gone down the crapper. Really, outside of BJ Penn and George St. Pierre, you don't really have, guys who were in the title picture during the Pride UFC days are still there. And I think that basically sums up the situation is, the Pride guys are starting to get old, a lot of them. They're not quite as sharp. Gomi, I said I was hoping to see some flashes of the old Gomi, and I really didn't. Throughout the whole fight, he basically got peppered. He couldn't really take Florian down. Florian eventually took him down, got him in the rear naked choke. And there's really not a lot to say on, that. The UFC will probably give him a build-up fight, but those tend not to work with Gomi. He trains down to opposition, and I think you gotta throw him in there again with another top dog, and make him train to get to that level. Maybe someone who's coming off of a loss that could really use a boost from Gomi. It's just not really a name really coming to mind. But a fight with Clay Guida or Diego Sanchez would not be, terrible. Florian, people say he's the number 2 lightweight in the world. Not sure I buy that. I think he has to beat Sean Shirk and kind of redeem himself before he really takes that title. Not that Shirk is number 2 lightweight, but as long as he has that loss to Shirk, and also having getting punked by Diego Sanchez way back in the day. I know that wasn't a lightweight fight. I know that really has very little relevance, but I think it kind of I think it still shows where Kenny is. Like, he's a top 5 fighter at lightweight, but he's not number 2. I don't think. Another title shot probably is in his future, though. Anyways, that is all. I will review the Ultimate Fighter episode 1 later. Gotta go out for a bit, and I'll be back.